Hi there, how are you doing? I'm just catching up on the latest Druthers newspaper and the Absurdity Observer. And, you know, as I said before, I'm so impressed with the quality of the writing in this little newspaper here. And as you can see, it is a bombshell headline this week. And this story is also referred to in the Absurdity Observer, which I'll be reading shortly. Now, any of you who know me know that I've been doing this for an awful long time, sharing information, trying to get people to see what's really going on behind the scenes, because there is a lot of delusion going on here. And I've tried basically every method that you can think of. Groups, forming groups. I ran for council twice, videoing committee meetings, goodness knows what else, putting it up on YouTube and so on and so forth. And I've come to the conclusion, along with a good friend of mine, Stefan Verstappen, who I heard say this actually quite a while ago, that he'd gone back to basically sharing information with people one at a time. And this is what this newspaper does. Is it shares information to you, one person at a time. There is something about reading a newspaper that is unbelievably personal. It is direct communication with the individual, and it is memorable. You tend to remember those kind of things. I find that when you read things online, it's kind of distant. It just doesn't have that same kind of closeness. So this is the importance of a newspaper like Druthers, is it's reaching out and making contact with individual people one by one, even though it is printed, mass-produced and mailed out to literally hundreds of thousands of people now. And so it doesn't matter whether you are in a public place or a private setting. As soon as you sit down and open that newspaper, you are suddenly wrapped up in that little space and making a personal connection. And you probably notice this if you are on a train somewhere or in a coffee shop and somebody's got a newspaper open. You don't want to interrupt them because you can see that they are completely engrossed in what they are reading. So absolute kudos to the people who are putting this out, and don't forget the power. Don't forget the power of reaching out to individual people one at a time. And it seems kind of slow, but in the end, you know, when you make that personal contact, it is memorable and it will stay with that person. And that is what we need and want in these confusing times in which we live. And welcome back to the Absurdity Observer, some of the most absurd things that have happened in recent weeks. And this is from the November issue 2023. Now this is an absolute bombshell. It's the main story on the front page. Pfizer admits the public received a different inoculation formulation than the one they tested. New information has emerged that the CVE inoculation Pfizer distributed was not produced using the same process as the inoculation that was tested prior to gaining approval for distribution. This clinical trial bait and switch Pfizer claims was necessary, since the process they used during the trials could not be used on a mass scale in a cost-effective way. Unlike their original clinical batches process, the mass-scaled process leaves behind plasmid DNA remnants in the vaccine, which has been linked to side effects. Pfizer wouldn't lie to us, would they? Looks like they're in deep doo-doo right now. Environmentalists are now advocating that we chop down trees to save the planet. Forget planting trees to suck up the carbon in the air. The Bill Gates-funded tech company Cardano Systems is planning on chopping down and burying trees that are at risk of burning or decaying, to reduce the chances of the trees naturally dying and spewing their stored carbon back into the air. Well, good luck with that. And what about this? The World Economic Forum wants white people kicked to the back of hospital wait lists. Fancy that. The WEF has created an equity health initiative, the Global Health Equity Network, that prioritizes and deprioritizes patients on the basis of their ethnicity. The initiative has already been rolled out in New Zealand, where it is pushing Maori patients up wait lists to fight inequality. Now, this is something that you would never have thought would have taken place. The CIA paid off analysis in order to bury their findings that CV most likely leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China. New whistleblower testimony to US Congress alleges. According to the whistleblower, in the CIA CV discovery team, which consisted of 7 experienced officers with significant scientific expertise, 6 of the 7 believed that the intelligence and science were sufficient to say that CV may have originated in a lab. The 7th, who happened to be the senior officer and who did not agree with the team, orchestrated for team members to be given a significant monetary incentive to change their position. Now, this is pretty sad. 8-year-old Israeli poster child for CV inoculations dies of sudden cardiac arrest. Israel, sometimes referred to as the world's largest Pfizer case study, due to its significant purchase and brutal mandate of exclusively Pfizer inoculations, had previously featured Jonathan Moshe Ehrlichman in the government-sponsored commercial promoting CV inoculations. The young boy's tragic death mirrors the story of Santino Godoy Blanco, the Argentine inoculation poster boy who died last year at age 4 from pneumonia. And this just released from the CDC. The CDC just publicly admitted that the CV inoculation was not life-saving and harmful for children. In their recent ACIP report on cdc.gov, they claimed per million doses in 12 to 17-year-olds over 6 months, 0 to 1 deaths have been prevented. Even worse, that same report noted that every million doses resulted in 100 to 200,000 severe side effects. And this is just another example of censorship by stealth. And because it's very, very difficult for platforms to put things up in, certainly English and French wouldn't be a problem, but indigenous languages? Come on, how many indigenous languages do we have? Could be 10, 20, 30? Who knows? And, you know, the language is ever changing as far as the alphabet people are concerned as well. So, take heed of this warning. As part of the same government legislation that is preventing Druthers.net from being shared on sites such as Facebook, the Canadian government is expanding the Online Streaming Act to require all major streaming platforms to register with the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission, the CRTC. This will likely include platforms like YouTube, Netflix, TikTok, Spotify and Rumble. As the CRTC announced, the Act includes a proposed rule that would force content to be available in English, French and Indigenous languages, and aims to make content more inclusive of persons with disabilities, ethno-cultural groups, racialized communities and the 2SLGBTQI+ communities. Now, this is absolutely sad to read. A shocking new report by Canadian Institute for Health Information reveals that at least 602 transgender minors have had breasts surgically removed in Canada since 2018 as part of so-called gender-affirming care. Some children were as young as 14 years old. The actual number of minors who have undergone life-changing gender-affirming surgeries is likely larger, as private clinics that cater to transgender clients were not included in the study. While Girl Guides of Canada is actively encouraging their members to attend pride parades on their blog, the Santa Claus Parade is off-limits. The organisation announced that the Santa Claus Parade and other Christmas-related activities are off-limits to its members because the organisation does not allow religion and is trying to be more inclusive. Earlier this year, GGC also rebranded the name of their Brownies group to Embers to be more inclusive. Despite their focus on inclusivity, GGC previously banned uninoculated leaders. Well, what a surprise. Oops. Correction and update. Last month we incorrectly reported that schools across Canada were banning all books printed before 2008 due to older books not being inclusive enough. In fact, it's Ontario's second largest district school board, Peel, that took this approach.
After backlash from the advocacy group Libraries Not Landfills, the board appeared to backpedal, saying that books that are accurate, relevant to the student population, inclusive, not harmful, and support the current curriculum can stay.
Okay, well, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe below, and please be brave, stay calm, wait for the signs. This is Houndog Steve signing off, wishing you a very pleasant evening, and we'll talk very, very shortly. See you now. Bye.